Chapter 1. The hard truth about getting rich doesn't begin with money, ambition, or some dramatic turning point. It begins quietly, almost softly, like a slow breath taken before a long climb. And if you listen closely, you'll notice that every wealthy person you've ever admired once started here, standing at the edge of a life they no longer wanted and a future they weren't sure they deserved. No announcements. No applause. Just a subtle realization. Something has to change. This gentle moment is often overlooked, yet it marks the real beginning of every rich journey. And right now, as you listen, you're standing in that same doorway. Something inside you is awakening. Most people think wealth starts with a big risk, some grand idea, or a stroke of luck. But before all that, it starts with awareness. Awareness that you're capable of more than the life you're currently living. Awareness that the routines you've accepted are too small for the dreams you carry. Awareness that the world won't hand you anything. You must reach for it yourself. This awareness doesn't scream. It doesn't force. It whispers. And if you give that whisper enough space, it becomes the beginning of a new identity. This is your whisper. Yet even with this awareness, getting rich demands something uncomfortable: honesty. Not the type you share with friends, but the kind you admit silently when no one else can hear. You must look at your habits, your patterns, and the truths you've avoided. Maybe you procrastinate more than you admit. Maybe you've let fear decide your path. Maybe you've convinced yourself that your circumstances are stronger than your potential. These are the hidden traps that keep millions stuck. But when you face them courageously, without excuses, you ignite a transformation. Wealth grows in the soil of honesty. With this honesty comes your first challenge: accepting responsibility for your life. Many people never get rich because they never take full ownership. They blame their past, their environment, their lack of connections, their upbringing, or the hardships they've endured. These reasons feel valid, and sometimes they are. But holding on to them robs you of power. The moment you decide, "My future is my responsibility," the journey begins in truth. And that moment is stronger than any small start, any lack of resources, or any obstacle you faced. Ownership shifts everything. But here's another hard truth: the world doesn't reward wishful thinking. It rewards consistent action. It rewards discipline. It rewards those who build quietly while others wait loudly. Many people want wealth, but few want the discipline it demands. You must be willing to do the boring work, the learning, the repetition, the failures, the adjustments, long before results appear. Your habits become your builders. Your consistency becomes your architect. Wealth doesn't appear suddenly. It accumulates like drops in a bucket. Most people quit before their bucket even gets wet. And still, even with discipline, you will face resistance. Not from the world, but from yourself. Your mind will try to protect you from discomfort by calling it danger. Your doubts will whisper that success isn't meant for you. Your fears will tell you that failure is embarrassing. And your past may try to convince you that you're trapped in patterns you can't escape. But here is the quiet truth beneath it all: your mind isn't trying to stop you, it's trying to shield you. Growth feels like threat to the part of you that only knows survival. Your job is to teach it a new language: possibility. As you grow, you will also face another test: the environment around you. Some people will not understand your ambitions. Some will discourage you without meaning harm. Some will feel threatened by your progress, while others will quietly hope you fail so they don't have to question their own choices. You must learn to recognize who feeds your fire and who dims it. Getting rich requires protecting your energy, your vision, and your hunger. Not everyone around you is meant to walk this path with you. And that is okay. Your rise may require solitude before it attracts support. Then comes the stage most people underestimate: learning. Wealth is a skill long before it's an outcome. You must learn how money flows, how businesses grow, how investments multiply, how opportunities emerge, and how to think like a builder instead of a consumer. This stage doesn't give much reward at first. It can feel slow, frustrating, or overwhelming. But every piece of knowledge becomes a tool you will one day use. Every lesson becomes a shortcut. Every failure becomes instruction. When you commit to learning, you commit to earning. But learning alone isn't enough. You must develop courage, the courage to try, to fail, to try again, and to keep moving even when nothing seems to be working. The wealthy are not fearless. They've simply trained themselves to act despite fear. They walk into uncertainty with shaking hands but steady intentions. Every wealthy person you admire has failed more times than they've succeeded. But each failure sharpened them, guided them, and prepared them. Wealth isn't the absence of failure, it's the mastery of recovery. And as you navigate these stages, something subtle but powerful happens. You start to change. Your thinking shifts. Your choices sharpen. Your dreams become clearer. You begin to understand that wealth isn't about having more money. It's about becoming more capable, more confident, more resilient, and more intentional. The transformation inside you becomes more valuable than the money you seek. Because once you become the person who can build wealth, losing money will never frighten you again. You'll know how to rebuild. Finally, here is the smoothest yet hardest truth of all. The journey to wealth begins quietly, but it doesn't stay quiet for long. Once you commit to this path, your life begins to move. Opportunities appear where you once saw walls. Ideas flow because you're ready to receive them. People notice your growth. Challenges shape you instead of breaking you. And money, slowly at first, then faster, starts following your discipline, your decisions, and your new identity. So as you take in this first chapter, let it settle in you gently. You don't need to rush. You don't need to have everything figured out today. All you need is the willingness to begin, the openness to grow, and the courage to face the truths most people run from. Wealth is not a destination. It's a becoming. And your becoming starts now. Chapter 2. The journey toward wealth does not explode into greatness overnight. It expands slowly, like dawn spreading light across a quiet landscape. And as this journey unfolds, the second truth reveals itself. Your mindset is the soil where your financial life grows. No matter how skilled you become, how much information you gather, or how big your dreams are, the mind you bring to the journey determines how far you will travel. Most people begin the path to wealth with energy, excitement, and hope. But hope alone can't carry you through a storm. And storms always come. Mindset is not just positive thinking. It is the framework through which you interpret the world. It's how you respond to loss, how you handle pressure, and how you view opportunity. It's also the quiet voice that speaks to you before everyone else does. And here's the hard truth. Many people lose the wealth battle before they even begin because their mind declares defeat long before their effort has a chance to rise. But if you learn to train your mind, to strengthen it, widen it, and discipline it, wealth becomes less of a dream and more of a direction. It starts with understanding something powerful. Your thoughts shape your actions shape your habits, and your habits shape your destiny. If you think you're trapped, you will never move. If you believe you're late, you will rush and make mistakes. If you see challenges as personal attacks, you will give up easily. But if you view obstacles as invitations to grow, the world begins to open. Wealth flows to those who are mentally prepared to receive it. This preparation begins with a single, simple shift: responsibility. Not the kind forced by circumstances, but the kind chosen deliberately. You must decide, fully and without negotiation, that everything in your life is yours to influence. Your financial situation, your knowledge, your habits, your progress. When you take full ownership, excuses lose their power. The moment you stop waiting for someone to save you, you start to save yourself. And that moment is magnetic. Doors that were once invisible begin to appear. However, mindset is not only about responsibility, it is also about vision. Wealth requires a clear mental picture of where you're going. Without vision, you'll get lost in distractions, trends, or the comfort of your old life. Vision acts like a compass. It keeps your steps aligned even when motivation fades. And motivation will fade. There will be days when you don't feel like learning, building, or pushing forward. Those days test your commitment more than your ambition. But that's where vision becomes powerful. A strong vision whispers to you when exhaustion shouts. It keeps you awake when you're tempted to settle. It reminds you that comfort is the enemy of change, and change is the birthplace of wealth. If your vision is strong enough, you will outlast your excuses. Alongside vision comes discipline, arguably the most important mindset trait of all. You cannot build wealth without it. Discipline is doing the work even when nobody is watching, even when it feels slow, and especially when you don't see results yet. Many people start strong and fade quickly because they confuse excitement with commitment. Excitement burns fast and disappears. Commitment burns slow but endures. The wealthy live by commitment. Discipline is not rigid or unforgiving. It is protective. It guards your future from your impulses. It protects your dreams from your fears. And it ensures that your short-term emotions do not sabotage your long-term goals. When you master discipline, wealth becomes predictable. Not easy, but predictable. You do the work, you plant the seeds, you nurture the process, and eventually the results catch up. Once discipline begins shaping your daily life, another part of your mindset awakens: resilience. You will need this more than you expect. Because the road to wealth is not straight, it twists, bends, and surprises you. You will face failures that sting, losses that discourage you, and moments where quitting seems easier than continuing. But resilience is what pulls you back to your feet. It transforms setbacks into lessons, mistakes into wisdom, and embarrassment into experience. The wealthy are not fortunate. They are resilient enough to survive the learning curve. As your resilience grows, something deeper shifts: your relationship with fear. Fear is one of the greatest enemies of wealth. Fear of taking risks, fear of failing publicly, fear of judgment, fear of losing what you invest, fear of becoming someone others don't recognize. But fear becomes smaller when you stop running from it and start acting despite it. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is movement in fear's presence. Every time you act in fear, you shrink its power. And slowly, your courage becomes instinctive. Along this journey, your mindset must also learn to recognize opportunity. Most people wait for the perfect time or the perfect idea, not realizing that opportunity rarely arrives in perfection. It comes disguised as work, uncertainty, or small beginnings. The wealthiest people in the world are simply those who learned to see opportunity where others saw inconvenience. They took small chances that grew into big outcomes. They acted before they felt ready. They built while others hesitated. And eventually, their mindset turned ordinary moments into extraordinary results. But perhaps the most transformative mindset shift is learning to think long-term. The world is addicted to speed, fast results, fast money, fast gratification. But wealth responds to patience, strategy, and consistency. You must think in years, not days. In decades, not seasons. This long-term mindset becomes your shield against impulsive decisions and your anchor during slow progress. When you think long-term, you stop competing with others and start competing with your own potential. And as all these parts of your mindset begin to align, responsibility, vision, discipline, resilience, courage, patience, you begin to feel something new stirring inside you: confidence. Not the loud kind that tries to convince others, but the quiet kind that convinces yourself. Confidence born from growth, from small wins, from lessons learned, from habits built. This confidence becomes your internal engine. It fuels your decisions, shapes your presence, and strengthens your belief that wealth is not beyond you, but ahead of you. By the time you reach this point, you are no longer the person who started the journey. Your thinking is sharper. Your choices are stronger. Your discipline is deeper. Your courage is louder. You begin to understand why many people never achieve wealth. Not because they lack ability, but because they never grew into the mindset that wealth requires. And that is the essence of Chapter 2. Before you change your finances, you must change your mind. Because wealth begins inside you long before it appears around you. Chapter 3. The journey toward wealth becomes clearer in Chapter 3, because now the truth shifts from the inside of you to the habits around you. If mindset is the soil, then habits are the seeds you plant in it. And whether you become wealthy or remain stagnant depends on the tiny actions you repeat every day, actions so small that most people ignore them. But wealth is built in the places where people rarely look. It doesn't begin with big wins or dramatic moments. It begins with the subtle power of daily choices. The hard part is that habits don't change instantly. They shift quietly, like slowly turning a ship in open water. You don't feel the change at first. The progress is invisible. But every small action, every consistent effort, every disciplined decision becomes a thread woven into the life you're building. And one day, you look back and realize the ship has turned completely. Your life has moved in a new direction. But most people never hold long enough to reach that moment. They underestimate small habits because they crave big results. Wealthy people think differently. They know that greatness hides in repetition. They know small habits silently shape who you become. They know that when you win the morning, you win the day, and when you win enough days, you win your future. And so Chapter 3 begins with a simple but powerful truth. If you control your habits, you control your destiny. But which habits matter? Not all habits create wealth. Some drain you, distract you, or keep you tied to your old identity. That's why this chapter doesn't just teach you to build habits, it teaches you to build the right ones. Habits that strengthen your mind, expand your opportunities, elevate your discipline, and move you toward a richer life in every sense. The first habit is clarity. Every wealthy person protects clarity like gold. Without clarity, you waste time. Without clarity, you say yes to the wrong things. Without clarity, you chase distractions instead of goals. When you start your day knowing exactly what you're building and why, you move differently. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. Clarity is a habit because it must be renewed daily. You do not become rich by accident. You become rich by direction. The second habit is learning, consistent, intentional learning. You cannot build a wealthy life with an outdated mind. Information is currency, and those who upgrade themselves consistently become magnets for opportunity. Reading, studying, observing successful people, researching money, business, investing, or any skill that creates value, this becomes your growth engine. Most people stop learning after school. The wealthy never stop. They know that every new skill becomes a new doorway. The third habit is execution. Ideas are everywhere. Dreams are everywhere. But action is rare. Wealth is built by doers, not dreamers. You don't become rich by thinking. You become rich by acting. And action doesn't have to be perfect. The wealthy act even when conditions aren't ideal. They act when they feel scared. They act when they feel unprepared. Action itself becomes a habit, a muscle, a personal standard. When you train yourself to execute quickly, consistently, and boldly, your life accelerates in ways others can't understand. The fourth habit is discipline with money. Wealth doesn't come from what you earn, it comes from what you keep, what you grow, and what you reinvest. Most people spend emotionally, carelessly, or reactively. They buy to impress, to soothe, or to escape. Wealthy people spend intentionally. They track their money. They respect it. They treat money not as something to show off, but as something to multiply. And slowly, the habit of discipline transforms their financial future. Another essential habit is protection of your environment. You cannot outgrow an environment built to keep you small. Your surroundings shape your habits more than your intentions do. If you surround yourself with people who complain, you will complain. Surround yourself with people who procrastinate, you will procrastinate. But surround yourself with people who are hungry, intentional, disciplined, and growth-oriented, you will rise naturally. Protecting your circle is not arrogance, it is survival. Wealth demands a different atmosphere. Then comes the habit of emotional control. Money responds to logic, not emotion. Yet most people make financial decisions when emotional, excited, scared, impatient, or pressured. Emotional habits determine how you handle setbacks, losses, opportunities, or temptation. Wealthy people train themselves to pause before reacting. They think before spending. They analyze before jumping. They learn before assuming. Emotional discipline becomes one of the strongest weapons on the path to wealth. As you build these habits, something subtle begins to happen. Your identity shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wants wealth and start seeing yourself as someone capable of creating it. Identity is the most powerful habit of all. When your identity changes, your behavior recalibrates automatically. You no longer force discipline, you embody it. You no longer chase motivation, you produce it. You no longer run from challenges, you lean into them. And with this shift comes momentum. Momentum is the reward of aligned habits. It's that invisible force that makes progress feel natural, that quiet confidence that builds inside you as your life begins to move in the right direction. Momentum turns effort into rhythm. It makes the hard things easier and the easy things automatic. Most people never reach momentum because they quit during the silent phase, the phase where nothing seems to be happening. But those who persist reach a point where the work becomes lighter, the vision becomes clearer, and the rewards begin to appear. In this chapter, the hard truth is simple. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. And if your habits remain small, your wealth will remain small. But here is the empowering truth that follows. You can build new habits at any time. You can rewrite your identity at any time. You can become someone new at any time. Your life is not controlled by your past. It is controlled by the actions you repeat today. And if you choose the right habits, habits that align with a wealthy version of yourself, your future will begin to shift in ways you can feel, measure, and eventually celebrate. This chapter is your invitation to redesign your daily life. Because wealth is not built in a moment, it is built in the moments you repeat. Chapter 4. Chapter 4 begins where habits and mindset intersect with risk, action, and opportunity. Because by this stage of the journey, you've built clarity, consistency, and discipline. You've grown your mind, strengthened your habits, and begun to see the invisible threads that link effort to results. But now comes the most uncomfortable truth. You will be forced to act when you are not ready, to step into uncertainty, and to risk failure before success appears. Most people avoid risk like fire. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions. And by doing so, they remain exactly where they are. Wealth does not wait for perfect conditions. Opportunity often appears disguised as discomfort, challenge, or even fear. The person who hesitates too long misses it. The person who acts imperfectly, boldly, and early begins to gather momentum. This is why so many wealthy people appear lucky. They didn't wait for the world to hand them a gift. They created their own luck by taking action when no one else would. The hardest part is often the first step. The first step toward wealth is often scary because it challenges your identity. You may ask yourself, am I ready? Can I do this? What if I fail? These questions are natural. They are your mind's way of warning you about danger. But most danger is imagined. Wealth requires a willingness to feel the fear and act anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is movement in its presence. Every step taken in fear strengthens your confidence and builds resilience. Courage compounds over time, just like money does. But risk alone is not enough. You must also develop perspective. Many people confuse activity with progress. They work long hours, chase deals, or start projects, yet they fail to measure results. Wealthy people think differently. They focus on leverage, on the 20% of efforts that produce 80% of results. They focus on value creation, not just busyness. They understand that time, money, and attention are finite resources. This perspective allows them to invest wisely, act decisively, and avoid the traps of distraction. Your leverage multiplies your efforts. Your perspective determines how wisely you use it. Action without learning is another common trap. Many people act boldly, fail repeatedly, and quit in frustration. Wealthy people act and analyze simultaneously. They study patterns, adjust strategies, and improve with each iteration. Failure is not shameful, it is informative. Every failed attempt becomes a teacher if you are willing to learn. The wealthy embrace failure as a natural part of growth because they know that resilience and adaptation are the keys to lasting success. Your failures contain the blueprint for your wealth if you can read them. Another truth you'll discover is that timing is critical, but often misunderstood. Many people wait for the right time, a mythical window where everything aligns perfectly. That time rarely exists. The wealthy learn to create the right timing by preparing, positioning, and acting decisively. They invest when they have knowledge, discipline, and confidence, not when conditions feel perfect. Opportunity often knocks before you feel ready. You must answer anyway. Timing rewards preparation more than it punishes imperfection. Chapter 4 also exposes the subtle trap of comparison. Many aspiring wealthy people measure themselves against others, friends, colleagues, influencers, or strangers on social media. This comparison often leads to self-doubt, impatience, or envy. Wealth is not a race against others. It is a process of becoming the person capable of earning it. Comparison slows you down, distracts you, and diminishes your confidence. The only benchmark that matters is your progress. Every step forward, every skill gained, every risk taken is a victory. Run your own race. Measure your own growth. By this stage, your confidence is tested. You will face skepticism from people you care about. You may hear words like, "That's too risky," "Why are you trying this?" or "You're dreaming too big." These voices are normal. They reflect the comfort zones of others, not your potential. The wealthy learn to differentiate between criticism rooted in care and criticism rooted in limitation. They take the advice that aligns with growth and ignore the voices that protect mediocrity. Not everyone will cheer for your rise, and that's okay, it doesn't slow your climb. Now comes a critical concept: calculated risk. There is a difference between reckless action and intelligent risk-taking. Recklessness burns resources, confidence, and opportunity. Intelligent risk involves research, preparation, and contingency. It's a combination of courage and strategy. Wealth grows when you take intelligent risks consistently, while learning and adjusting. These risks may feel uncomfortable, but they are essential. Wealth does not reward comfort, it rewards calculated courage. As you progress, you will discover the importance of networking and relationships. Opportunities rarely exist in isolation. The right connection at the right time can open doors faster than effort alone. But relationships are not about charm or flattery, they are about value. You must provide value before seeking it. Collaboration, mentorship, and genuine support multiply your growth exponentially. Your network becomes a force multiplier for your wealth, but only if you approach it intentionally and generously. The people around you determine not just who you are today, but who you will become tomorrow. Finally, Chapter 4 reminds you that speed without focus is wasted energy. Many aspiring wealthy people rush toward every opportunity, chasing novelty instead of mastery. The wealthy understand the power of focus. They concentrate their energy, attention, and resources on what truly matters. They master one thing at a time before expanding into the next. Their focus is relentless, yet strategic. Mastery multiplies results. Distraction multiplies regrets. By the end of this chapter, the message is clear. You cannot wait to feel ready. You cannot rely on perfect conditions. You cannot escape risk, failure, or fear. The path to wealth demands that you act decisively, learn consistently, leverage intelligently, and focus relentlessly. It demands courage, patience, and the willingness to create your own timing. The most important idea to carry forward is this: action compounds into momentum. Momentum compounds into results, and results compound into wealth. Every wealthy person you admire reached this stage. They stepped into uncertainty, acted in fear, learned from mistakes, and stayed focused while others wavered. And this chapter proves that the same path is available to you, if you are willing to act when the world tells you to wait. The first step may feel small. The first risk may feel impossible. But your future self will thank you for beginning today. If you're ready, I can continue with Chapter 5, where we dive into money mindset, investment habits, and building lasting wealth beyond income, the stage where your actions begin to translate into measurable results. Chapter 5. Chapter 5 begins where most journeys to wealth stumble, turning effort into real, measurable results. By now, your mindset is sharper, your habits are building momentum, and your willingness to act has grown. But effort alone does not create wealth. Many people work tirelessly, take risks, and develop discipline, yet never reach the financial success they dream of. The missing piece: understanding how money works and how to make it grow for you. The first truth here is simple, yet uncomfortable. Income is not wealth. Money in your hand is temporary. Wealth in your system is permanent. You can earn more than most people dream of and still remain trapped in scarcity if your money disappears as quickly as it comes. Wealth is built when money is retained, multiplied, and protected. The person who understands this early gains an advantage that years of high income alone cannot buy. This begins with financial awareness. You must know exactly where your money comes from, where it goes, and how much is truly available to grow. Most people ignore this and rely on rough estimates, hoping luck will balance the books. But wealth is precise. You track every movement of money, not obsessively, but intentionally. You learn to differentiate between wants and needs, between consumption and investment, between instant gratification and long-term reward. This clarity is the foundation of financial freedom. The next principle is investment in assets, not liabilities. Most aspiring wealthy people confuse buying things with building wealth. A new car, a bigger house, or luxury gadgets feel like success but often drain your resources. True wealth is created when you purchase or build assets that generate income: stocks, businesses, real estate, intellectual property, or any system that produces money without constant effort. The wealthy buy assets, not trophies. And over time, these assets compound, grow, and multiply, giving them freedom others chase their whole lives. Your money should work while you sleep. Chapter 5 also exposes a hidden trap: living above your means. Many people justify spending because they earn more, but habits of excess destroy future security. Wealthy people practice delayed gratification. They understand that the short-term sacrifice of comfort leads to exponential long-term gain. Small adjustments, like saving before spending, reinvesting profits, or choosing investments over immediate consumption, compound silently. These choices don't feel dramatic at first, but over years, they create mountains where others see only sand. Alongside financial awareness comes strategic risk. Money grows fastest when deployed intelligently, not recklessly. Every investment should have a calculated potential for growth and a plan for protection. The wealthy take risks where others fear to step, but they never gamble blindly. They research, plan, and manage outcomes, understanding that small losses teach bigger lessons and small gains build confidence. Risk, when mastered, becomes a lever that multiplies every dollar, every idea, every effort. The market rewards preparation, not luck. Another truth that separates the wealthy from the average is income diversification. Relying on a single source of income is dangerous. It is fragile. Wealthy people build multiple streams, side ventures, investments, royalties, and passive income, so their financial security is resilient. Each stream adds a layer of safety and growth potential. If one source falters, others sustain momentum. Diversification is not just about protection. It's about creating opportunities for compounding success that accelerates faster than a single income ever could. Chapter 5 also emphasizes learning to think long-term with money. Most people earn, spend, and then repeat the cycle without pause. Wealthy individuals see money as a tool for future freedom, not just present satisfaction. They visualize where their money will be in 5, 10, or 20 years and make choices that align with that vision. Long-term thinking reshapes every decision, turning delayed gratification into power, patience into leverage, and discipline into results. Time is the most underrated multiplier of wealth. Then comes the power of systems. The wealthy understand that relying on memory or willpower is inefficient. They build systems for saving, investing, budgeting, and monitoring growth. Automation is their ally. Money is transferred, invested, and tracked without constant effort. Systems reduce mistakes, enforce discipline, and create consistency. Wealth is not a sprint, it's a system that multiplies over years. Without systems, even the smartest people fail because human error, distraction, and temptation erode gains. Chapter 5 would be incomplete without addressing fear and emotional control around money. Many people sabotage their wealth through fear. Fear of investing, fear of loss, fear of change. Emotional reactions destroy rational decisions. The wealthy train themselves to act logically, calmly, and strategically. They separate emotion from calculation, and this skill alone often makes the difference between temporary wins and lasting success. Emotional intelligence is wealth intelligence. Finally, the chapter introduces the concept of financial identity transformation. At this stage, your habits, mindset, and learning begin to rewire your perception of money. You no longer see it as scarce, unpredictable, or elusive. You see it as a tool, a language, and a system you can master. This shift is powerful because it changes how you approach every decision. Your identity now aligns with wealth. You begin to make choices unconsciously that others struggle to implement consciously. Becoming wealthy is not just what you do, it is who you become. By the end of Chapter 5, the key takeaway is clear. Earning money is the first step, but creating wealth requires strategy, discipline, and intentional growth. You must track, protect, invest, diversify, and think long-term. You must build systems and master emotional control. And most importantly, you must evolve into someone capable of handling, multiplying, and sustaining wealth over a lifetime. This chapter sets the stage for what comes next, turning knowledge into influence, opportunities into systems, and effort into exponential growth. The next step is learning how to scale yourself, your skills, and your income so that your wealth is no longer tied to the hours you work, but to the value you create in the world. Wealth is not about working harder, it's about working smarter, growing strategically, and building structures that let you win while others wait. Chapter 6. Chapter 6 begins with a truth most people resist. You cannot stay small and grow wealthy. By now, your mindset is sharpened, your habits are aligned, and your financial awareness has taken root. But there's a point in every journey where small actions stop producing big results. At this stage, if you continue doing what's comfortable, your growth plateaus. To reach wealth that lasts, you must scale yourself, your skills, and your impact. This is the stage where effort multiplies, influence compounds, and opportunities accelerate, if you know how to leverage them. Scaling starts with the hardest step for most people: letting go of control. You've been the driver of your journey so far, managing every detail, learning every skill, building every habit. But true wealth emerges when you stop trading time for money and start creating systems that earn while you sleep. This is where businesses, investments, and leveraged skills enter the picture. The wealthy don't work harder. They work strategically and build frameworks that amplify every action. The first principle of scaling is leverage. Leverage comes in many forms: financial leverage, skill leverage, relationship leverage, and time leverage. Financial leverage means using capital wisely to increase returns. Skill leverage means using your knowledge to create value for many people simultaneously. Relationship leverage means connecting with others who can expand your influence. Time leverage means focusing on high-impact activities and letting systems or teams handle repetitive tasks. Wealth multiplies when you apply leverage consistently, intelligently, and ethically. Next is delegation. Many aspiring wealthy people fail because they try to do everything themselves. Delegation is not weakness, it is strategic power. By handing responsibilities to capable people, you free yourself to focus on high-value tasks, growth opportunities, and vision execution. The wealthy learn to identify which tasks they must handle and which tasks others can do better. Systems plus delegation create exponential momentum. Your value is in your unique skills, not in doing everything alone. Alongside leverage and delegation comes productization of your skills and services. If you are earning income through time-bound effort, your earning potential is capped. Wealthy people turn their expertise into scalable products. Online courses, books, tools, consulting frameworks, digital solutions, or businesses that operate independently of their direct involvement. By turning knowledge into products or systems, you create income that grows beyond your hours. This is where your influence and reach start compounding. Chapter 6 also emphasizes strategic partnerships. Wealthy individuals rarely grow alone. They identify people who complement their skills, vision, or resources and build mutually beneficial alliances. Partnerships multiply capacity, reach, and opportunity. But alliances must be chosen carefully. Not everyone adds value, some drain it. Choose partners whose strengths complement your weaknesses, whose vision aligns with yours, and whose integrity matches your standards. The wrong partnerships can derail progress faster than no partnership at all. Another layer of scaling is automation and systems thinking. Once you've built a business, a product, or an investment strategy, the next step is to systematize it. Automation reduces errors, increases consistency, and frees your energy for growth. Systems allow the operation to run smoothly without constant supervision. Wealthy people invest in technology, processes, and structures that allow their assets to grow independently. The key insight is simple. Your money and systems should work while you focus on building more value. At this stage, mindset remains as important as action. Scaling exposes new pressures, competition, complexity, criticism, and increased responsibility. Emotional resilience, strategic thinking, and patience are tested. The wealthy respond with composure. They don't panic when obstacles grow, because scaling always magnifies challenges before magnifying rewards. They view each challenge as data, an opportunity to improve, and a signal of progress. Scaling reveals character, and character sustains wealth. Chapter 6 also teaches the importance of creating multiple income streams simultaneously. At the early stages, you may rely on one primary source of income. But scaling requires diversification. Each stream, whether investments, businesses, royalties, or strategic ventures, reduces dependency on a single outcome and increases security. Each stream compounds independently, creating layers of wealth that reinforce one another. Wealth multiplies when you manage streams strategically, align them with your vision, and allow them to grow systematically. An often overlooked element of scaling is visibility and influence. As your efforts multiply, your presence matters. People notice, opportunities emerge, and leverage grows exponentially when others see your value. Influence is a multiplier because it attracts resources, collaborators, clients, and opportunities you could not reach alone. Building influence does not mean seeking attention. It means consistently delivering value, demonstrating expertise, and solving problems at scale. Influence accelerates growth without proportional effort. Finally, Chapter 6 highlights long-term planning and vision alignment. Scaling is not chaotic expansion. it is strategic growth. Every decision, every partnership, every system, and every risk must align with your long-term vision. Without alignment, momentum is wasted and energy dissipates. Wealthy people think in decades, anticipate trends, and position themselves so that each action compounds toward the ultimate goal. They don't chase quick wins, they create sustainable structures for exponential growth. By the end of Chapter 6, the lesson is clear. Wealth is no longer about effort alone, it is about leverage, systems, influence, and strategic multiplication. If you scale wisely, your income and opportunities expand faster than your time, energy, or initial effort could allow. If you fail to scale, you remain limited, no matter how disciplined or hardworking you are. Your task is no longer just to work, it is to build structures that earn, grow, and multiply while you focus on creating more value. Chapter 7. Chapter 7 begins with a hard but liberating truth. Wealth is a reflection of value. The more value you create for the world, the more the world rewards you. This principle separates those who struggle financially from those who accumulate lasting wealth. Many people focus on income alone, but income without value creation is temporary. True wealth emerges when your skills, knowledge, and efforts solve problems, improve lives, or create systems that people depend on. Your ability to provide value is your greatest currency. The first step in this chapter is understanding abundance thinking. Most people approach money from a place of scarcity. There is never enough, someone else is taking it, or opportunities are limited. Scarcity thinking limits decisions, breeds fear, and encourages compromise. Abundance thinking, by contrast, recognizes that opportunity, innovation, and growth are virtually unlimited if you act strategically. Wealthy people see potential in problems, solutions in challenges, and resources in places others overlook. Your mindset toward abundance directly affects your ability to earn, invest, and grow. Alongside abundance is strategic opportunity spotting. Opportunity rarely comes clearly labeled. It is disguised as risk, effort, or discomfort. Those who accumulate wealth learn to see what others overlook: gaps in the market, inefficiencies in processes, unmet needs, or new trends on the horizon. They approach these opportunities with preparation, courage, and a willingness to invest time, effort, and resources when the outcome is not guaranteed. The difference between failure and fortune often depends on who sees the opportunity first and acts decisively. Chapter 7 also emphasizes the importance of compounding. Compounding is not just for money, it applies to skills, knowledge, relationships, and reputation. Small, consistent actions repeated over time produce results far greater than any one large effort. Wealth grows when you reinvest profits, refine skills, expand influence, and nurture systems. Most people underestimate time's exponential effect, which is why they abandon projects or investments too early. Patience and persistence allow compounding to work its magic. The longer you nurture, the greater your eventual reward. Another truth revealed here is the value of calculated risk and bold action. By now, you understand leverage, systems, and scaling. But to move from good to great, you must take risks others avoid. The wealthy act when conditions are uncertain, make moves that feel uncomfortable, and trust their preparation and judgment. Risk without recklessness is powerful. It turns small opportunities into transformative outcomes. Acting boldly is a habit, and the habit compounds wealth faster than caution alone. Fortune favors the brave, but the brave plan their courage. Chapter 7 also introduces legacy thinking. Wealth is no longer just about personal comfort, it's about the impact you leave. The wealthy consider how their actions today affect tomorrow. They build assets that endure, systems that function independently, and influence that outlasts their involvement. This long-term perspective shifts priorities from instant gratification to sustainable growth. It encourages decisions that create value, not just revenue. True wealth is measured not only by what you accumulate, but by what you contribute and sustain. Alongside legacy comes strategic relationship building. Your network is not just about contacts, it is about alliances that multiply impact. Partnerships, mentorships, collaborations, and influence networks all create leverage beyond your personal capacity. Wealthy individuals seek relationships where mutual value exists, where trust and integrity are foundational, and where collective effort amplifies results. Relationships become pipelines of opportunity, insight, and resources, accelerating growth exponentially. Who you surround yourself with multiplies who you become. Chapter 7 also stresses resilience in uncertainty. Even with abundant thinking, leverage, and scaling, challenges are inevitable. Markets fluctuate, ventures fail, and setbacks occur. Wealthy people prepare for volatility, not by avoiding it, but by strengthening their capacity to respond. Emotional control, strategic planning, and diversified assets ensure that setbacks are temporary. Resilience transforms failure into insight and loss into a stepping stone. The key is not to avoid difficulty but to respond to it effectively. Another lesson is intentional learning and adaptability. Markets change, technologies evolve, and industries transform. The wealthy commit to continuous growth, acquiring knowledge, learning new skills, and adjusting strategies as circumstances shift. This adaptability allows them to capitalize on emerging opportunities while others remain stagnant. Learning is a lifelong habit, and those who master it are always ahead of the curve. Your ability to learn and pivot determines the scale of your success. Finally, Chapter 7 emphasizes internal wealth alignment. True wealth is sustainable only when your mindset, habits, and actions are in harmony. It is not enough to have money or influence if your decisions contradict your values, vision, or long-term goals. Alignment reduces stress, prevents mistakes, and ensures your growth is deliberate rather than accidental. When internal and external systems align, wealth becomes effortless relative to the energy expended. Your inner world must support the outer world you aim to build. By the end of this chapter, the lesson is clear. Wealth is the natural result of creating value, thinking abundantly, taking calculated risks, nurturing systems, building resilient relationships, and committing to growth over time. It is not accidental. It is not luck. It is the product of intentional action, strategic thinking, and disciplined execution. Chapter 7 is your turning point. From earning and saving, to creating, scaling, and sustaining wealth that compounds across your life and impact. Chapter 8. Chapter 8 begins with a truth that most people avoid. The hardest battles on the path to wealth are internal. You've built mindset, habits, scaled your skills, and started seeing tangible results, but without mastering yourself, your wealth cannot sustain. Every decision, investment, partnership, and risk is filtered through your emotions, beliefs, and confidence. Internal barriers, fear, doubt, limiting beliefs, and distraction can destroy momentum faster than any external obstacle. The wealthiest people in the world win because they master themselves first. Before you control your money, you must control your mind. The first internal barrier is fear of failure. Even the most disciplined and skilled people hesitate when risk appears real. Fear whispers, "What if I lose everything?" Or, "Am I ready for this?" These are natural thoughts, but acting in fear is what separates the wealthy from the average. The wealthy acknowledge fear, analyze it, and move forward anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action in spite of it. Every successful step strengthens confidence, and over time, fear shrinks while opportunity grows. The more you move despite fear, the more unstoppable you become. The second barrier is self-doubt. Even when success is visible, doubt can creep in and sabotage decisions. You may question your worthiness, your skill, or your judgment. Self-doubt is insidious because it disguises itself as caution, humility, or prudence. The wealthy learn to differentiate between useful caution and destructive doubt. They take calculated steps, trust their preparation, and measure results rather than emotions. Every decision executed despite doubt compounds competence and confidence. Belief in yourself is the foundation of sustained wealth. Chapter 8 also highlights emotional discipline. Money, opportunity, and power magnify emotions. Excitement can lead to reckless decisions. Frustration can lead to giving up. Anxiety can lead to hesitation. Wealthy individuals train themselves to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. They pause, evaluate, and act with strategy. Emotional mastery is a force multiplier. It allows you to see opportunity clearly, make rational decisions, and recover quickly from setbacks. Your emotional control determines the stability of your financial empire. Another internal barrier is procrastination disguised as preparation. Many people wait for the perfect moment, accumulating knowledge or waiting for clarity, only to remain stagnant. Preparation is necessary, but over-preparation is a form of avoidance. The wealthy know the difference. They act decisively once enough information exists to make an informed choice. Execution trumps perfection. Every imperfect action teaches more than endless planning ever could. Momentum is built by starting, not by waiting. Chapter 8 also addresses the fear of success. Strange as it sounds, some people subconsciously resist wealth because it forces them to change. Wealth demands new responsibilities, decisions, and accountability. It can strain relationships or shift identity. The wealthy confront this fear by embracing growth. They recognize that comfort is temporary, transformation is necessary, and success is not betrayal, it is evolution. To grow wealthy, you must accept that the person you become is bigger than the one you were. Another critical internal skill is focus and mental clarity. Distraction is the silent killer of wealth. Social media, gossip, unnecessary obligations, and scattered attention dilute your impact. Wealthy individuals ruthlessly protect their focus. They design their environment to minimize distraction, prioritize high-value tasks, and commit to single-minded pursuit of their goals. Focus allows small efforts to compound into enormous outcomes, while scattered energy dissipates potential. Where your attention flows, your results grow. Chapter 8 also teaches the value of gratitude and reflection. Most people chase wealth without appreciating progress. Gratitude shifts perspective, reinforces abundance, and strengthens resilience. Reflection allows you to analyze mistakes, identify patterns, and make smarter decisions. Wealth is not only built in action, it is refined in observation. Every reflection moment compounds knowledge and sharpens judgment, preparing you for bigger challenges ahead. Wealth grows when you learn from both wins and losses. Next is the mastery of patience. Modern culture glorifies speed and instant gratification, but wealth compounds slowly. Investments, systems, influence, and opportunities take time to reach full potential. The wealthy embrace this process. They trust compounding, understanding that every consistent, deliberate action multiplies over years. Patience is active, not passive. It means working diligently while the world waits for your results to manifest. The strongest empires are built brick by brick, not in a day. Finally, Chapter 8 emphasizes alignment between internal and external life. Your thoughts, beliefs, and habits must match the wealth you seek. Internal contradictions, spending like you are rich but thinking like you are poor, acting impulsively but aiming for long-term goals, erode progress. True wealth requires internal coherence, a mind, heart, and action system aligned toward the same vision. Once alignment is achieved, every decision becomes easier, every risk clearer, and every opportunity more accessible. By the end of Chapter 8, the lesson is undeniable. Wealth begins outside in, but it is sustained inside out. You can accumulate money, influence, and assets, but without mastering your mind, emotions, and internal barriers, your wealth will remain fragile. Internal mastery transforms fear into courage, doubt into confidence, impatience into persistence, and distraction into focus. Chapter 8 is the turning point where your internal power matches your external action, where mindset, habits, and strategy converge to create wealth that lasts and grows exponentially. Chapter 9. Chapter 9 begins with a truth that separates the wealthy from the rest. Earning money is one thing, but making money work for you is another. Up to this point, you've built mindset, habits, scaled yourself, and mastered internal barriers. Now, the next stage is about turning your income, effort, and resources into systems of compounding wealth. This is where your money begins to generate more than you ever could alone. Understanding this stage is critical. If your money sleeps in your pocket, your progress will stagnate. If it moves wisely, it accelerates. The first principle is investing in assets that generate passive income. Most people trade time for money, believing that work equals wealth. But real wealth comes when money earns more money without your constant presence. Stocks, real estate, businesses, digital products, and intellectual property are examples of assets that generate cash flow. Each of these allows you to leverage your effort, multiplying income beyond what you could physically achieve. Your goal is to make your money work harder than you do. The second principle is diversification. Wealth built in a single stream is fragile. Investments can fail, markets fluctuate, and industries transform. Diversification spreads risk and multiplies opportunities. It is not just about having multiple bank accounts, it is about creating different types of income. Capital gains, dividends, interest, royalties, business profits, and strategic partnerships. Diversification protects your wealth while simultaneously compounding it. The broader your foundation, the taller your financial structure can rise. Chapter 9 also emphasizes understanding risk and reward. Not all investments are equal. Some opportunities carry higher potential returns but also higher risk. Others are stable but grow slowly. The wealthy understand risk intuitively. They calculate, hedge, and deploy resources where the balance favors long-term growth. Recklessness leads to loss. Caution alone leads to stagnation. The key is calculated, informed action. Invest with knowledge, courage, and patience. Another critical concept is reinvesting profits. Money grows fastest when you resist the temptation to spend it immediately and instead put it back to work. Every reinvested profit compounds, creating layers of wealth over time. The wealthy see profits not as rewards for consumption but as fuel for expansion. Small decisions repeated consistently, like reinvesting dividends, profits, or returns, eventually create enormous outcomes. Compound growth is the silent engine of fortune. Chapter 9 also addresses strategic timing. Every market, opportunity, or venture has cycles. Success comes from patience, preparation, and decisive action at the right moment. Timing does not mean waiting idly. It means positioning yourself to act immediately when conditions are favorable. The wealthy understand the rhythm of opportunity. They anticipate, plan, and execute while others hesitate. Wealth rewards those who prepare for the moment before it arrives. Alongside strategy is continuous learning about money and markets. Even the wealthiest individuals continue studying trends, industries, investments, and systems. Knowledge compounds like money. Small insights applied consistently create enormous results. Ignorance, by contrast, can erase years of progress. Wealth demands curiosity, adaptability, and a willingness to evolve with changing circumstances. Your financial intelligence must grow as fast as your income. Chapter 9 also highlights leveraging other people's expertise and resources. The wealthy rarely do everything alone. They seek mentors, advisors, and collaborators who can accelerate their progress. They understand that knowledge, experience, and skill from others multiply results far faster than solitary effort. But leverage must be earned and aligned with trust and integrity. Collaborate wisely to scale faster and smarter. Another lesson is managing emotional control around wealth. Investments rise and fall. Markets fluctuate. Opportunities come and go. Emotional reactions can destroy rational decisions. Fear can lead to selling too early. Greed can lead to overexposure. The wealthy master their emotions, make data-driven choices, and stay patient through volatility. Emotional discipline is as valuable as financial discipline. Without it, even the smartest strategy fails. Finally, Chapter 9 emphasizes the ultimate goal of freedom. Wealth is not just numbers on a screen, it is freedom of choice, time, and impact. Every investment, every reinvested profit, and every system built is a step toward independence. True wealth allows you to pursue purpose, create influence, and live life on your terms. It is the product of disciplined effort, strategic action, and patience. The richest people are not those with the largest bank accounts, but those whose resources allow them to live intentionally and influence meaningfully. Money is a tool for freedom, use it wisely. By the end of Chapter 9, the lesson is undeniable. You cannot merely earn money, you must invest, diversify, reinvest, and leverage intelligently to transform income into lasting wealth. The stage you reach here separates temporary earners from true wealth creators. It is not luck, privilege, or timing alone, it is preparation, discipline, and consistent action that turns opportunity into fortune. Chapter 9 sets the foundation for exponential growth, where money works for you, returns multiply, and freedom becomes not a dream, but a reality in motion. Chapter 10. Chapter 10 begins with a realization that few people confront. True wealth is never just about you. By this stage of your journey, you have built mindset, habits, scale, and financial systems. You have mastered internal barriers, invested wisely, and created streams of income. But wealth that lasts is not measured solely in money. It is measured in influence, legacy, and the systems you leave behind. The wealthy understand that their impact extends beyond their own life, and they make decisions today with that principle in mind. Money alone fades, influence endures. The first lesson is building systems that outlive you. Systems are the engines of sustainability. A business without structure, an investment without monitoring, or a project without processes is vulnerable. Wealthy individuals design operations, workflows, and financial systems that function independently of their daily involvement. This frees their time, multiplies outcomes, and ensures continuity. Whether it's automating investments, delegating business operations, or creating products that sell themselves, systems turn effort into enduring value. Your legacy begins with what continues when you step back. Next is mentorship and influence. Real wealth involves elevating others. The wealthy share knowledge, train successors, and build networks that multiply impact. Influence becomes a form of currency. Guiding others, opening doors, and creating opportunities amplifies both personal and collective growth. Mentorship is not charity, it is strategic leverage. Every person you train or influence can create results beyond your own reach. By lifting others, you expand the sphere of your impact. Chapter 10 also highlights philanthropy and purpose-driven wealth. Accumulating wealth without giving it purpose risks stagnation or emptiness. Many wealthy people dedicate resources to causes, communities, or initiatives that align with their values. Purpose transforms money from a static tool into a dynamic force that shapes lives. This is not about fame, it is about impact. When your wealth improves the lives of others, it becomes a legacy that compounds socially, financially, and emotionally. True abundance is measured by how much value you create for the world. Another crucial lesson is long-term estate planning. Wealth that is not structured risks being lost or mismanaged after your lifetime. The wealthy plan for succession, creating trusts, wills, and structures that protect their assets, minimize taxes, and ensure smooth transitions. Planning is not only for family, it is for preserving the systems and influence you have built. Every decision today affects future generations. Legacy is built intentionally, not by accident. Chapter 10 also emphasizes alignment between wealth and identity. As your resources grow, so does your responsibility. Actions that conflict with values, integrity, or vision can erode both influence and self-respect. The wealthy continuously recalibrate their decisions to align with principles, purpose, and long-term goals. Wealth that contradicts identity is unstable. Wealth that complements it becomes unshakable. Your inner alignment protects your outer empire. Another lesson is the strategic multiplication of influence. Wealth allows you to create platforms, amplify your voice, and catalyze change. Whether through business, media, education, or community initiatives, influence grows exponentially when paired with systems and vision. The wealthy leverage influence to open doors, negotiate opportunities, and create resources that multiply both financial and social returns. Influence compounds faster than money, and its reach can extend far beyond your lifetime. Chapter 10 also addresses sustainable habits for maintaining legacy wealth. Accumulating resources is one challenge, preserving them is another. Habits of discipline, reinvestment, continuous learning, and strategic risk management remain essential at this stage. Wealth without habits decays. Habits sustain systems, protect assets, and ensure that what you've built grows steadily, even when markets, industries, or circumstances change. Wealth preservation is a daily practice, not a one-time achievement. Another powerful truth revealed here is resilience at scale. At higher levels of wealth, setbacks are larger, stakes are higher, and challenges are more complex. The wealthy prepare mentally, emotionally, and strategically for volatility. Every failure becomes a lesson, every challenge a testing ground, and every obstacle an opportunity for improvement. Resilience ensures that growth is uninterrupted, influence endures, and systems continue functioning even under pressure. The greater the scale, the stronger the foundation must be. Finally, Chapter 10 emphasizes the compounding power of vision and purpose. Money, systems, influence, and habits are all tools. The true multiplier is vision, a clear, long-term picture of what you want to create in the world. Purpose aligns every decision, motivates every action, and inspires those around you. Wealth built on vision and purpose compounds like interest on principal, growing steadily, multiplying influence, and creating legacy that outlasts your lifetime. Vision transforms wealth from a temporary resource into an enduring force. By the end of Chapter 10, the lesson is unmistakable. Wealth without influence, legacy, or systems is temporary. True wealth grows when money, habits, systems, and purpose align, creating impact that lasts generations. Chapter 10 marks the transition from building personal success to creating sustainable, scalable, and meaningful legacy wealth. Your journey now moves from accumulation to impact, from personal gain to generational influence, where every decision creates both value and permanence. Chapter 11. Chapter 11 begins with a challenge few dare to confront. To create extraordinary wealth, you must think exponentially, not incrementally. Up to this point, you have mastered mindset, habits, scaling, investing, and legacy. You understand risk, influence, and systems. But to reach the highest levels of financial freedom, influence, and opportunity, you must stop thinking small. Incremental growth, adding a little here, saving a little there, will never produce exponential wealth. Extraordinary results require extraordinary vision, strategic thinking, and bold action. If you aim to grow, you must elevate how you think. The first principle is exponential thinking. Most people calculate linearly. If I save $1,000 a month, in 10 years I'll have $120,000. That is predictable, safe, but limited. The wealthy think differently. They ask, how can I multiply my efforts, assets, and influence so that $1 becomes $10, then $100? Exponential thinking requires identifying leverage points, investments, businesses, systems, and relationships that grow faster than your time, energy, or money. It is about creating frameworks where your impact multiplies beyond what you could ever achieve alone. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary wealth is your ability to think in multipliers. Chapter 11 also emphasizes strategic risk at scale. At this stage, risk is not reckless speculation. It is calculated, informed, and bold. Opportunities are often uncomfortable, uncertain, or complex. The wealthy embrace this discomfort because they understand that high rewards require proportional courage. Strategic risk involves research, timing, preparation, and emotional discipline. Every risk taken at scale is a chance to multiply results, influence, and resources exponentially. Fortune favors those willing to act boldly while others hesitate. Another lesson is leveraging other people's time, money, and expertise. You cannot achieve extraordinary wealth alone. The highest returns come from multiplying your capacity with other skills, resources, and networks. This is where partnerships, mentorship, investors, teams, and collaborators play a crucial role. By aligning incentives and combining efforts, you create results that far exceed your individual potential. Wealth becomes a network effect, a force that grows faster than your personal input. Multiply yourself by multiplying others. Chapter 11 also explores innovation as a multiplier. Wealth is rarely created by copying what already exists. True exponential growth comes from creating new solutions, entering untapped markets, and leveraging technology, trends, or ideas that others overlook. Innovation allows you to generate value at scale, reaching far more people than manual effort ever could. Every improvement, invention, or strategic idea compounds opportunity and accelerates growth. Those who innovate multiply their influence and wealth simultaneously. Alongside innovation is timing and strategic foresight. Opportunities compound when seized at the right moment. The wealthy anticipate shifts in markets, technology, and consumer behavior before they become obvious. Strategic foresight allows early positioning, giving you an advantage that multiplies results. Timing without preparation is luck. Preparation without timing is wasted. True wealth combines both, decisive action at the moment when conditions favor exponential outcomes. Your ability to anticipate multiplies the returns of every action. Chapter 11 also highlights resilience under magnified pressure. At exponential levels of growth, stakes are higher, mistakes are costlier, and scrutiny is intense. Emotional discipline, persistence, and mental clarity are not optional, they are mandatory. The wealthy anticipate setbacks, learn from them, and continue executing. Resilience ensures that exponential growth is sustainable, not fleeting. Your mindset under pressure determines whether your efforts compound or collapse. Another principle is continuous reinvestment. Extraordinary wealth requires that returns are not consumed prematurely but redeployed strategically. Whether profits, influence, or systems, reinvesting allows compounding to accelerate. Each reinvestment multiplies outcomes faster than linear effort. The wealthy understand that small, disciplined reinvestments repeated over time lead to massive gains. Every resource must work harder than you do. Chapter 11 also emphasizes mastery of decision-making. At high levels, choices become complex, ambiguous, and high-stakes. Indecision or emotional reaction erodes opportunity. The wealthy develop systems to make fast, informed, and effective decisions. They weigh risk, reward, and alignment with long-term vision. Decision-making becomes a multiplier. Good decisions compound value, poor decisions compound loss. The ability to choose wisely at scale defines your trajectory. Finally, Chapter 11 underscores purpose as the ultimate multiplier. Exponential wealth without meaning is unstable. Purpose aligns effort, strategy, and action toward goals that matter. It fuels persistence through challenges, attracts allies, and inspires influence. When vision and purpose guide exponential thinking, your growth is not just financial, it becomes impact-driven, sustainable, and enduring. Wealth guided by purpose multiplies results across generations. By the end of Chapter 11, the lesson is clear. Extraordinary wealth requires exponential thinking, strategic risk, leverage, innovation, timing, resilience, reinvestment, and purpose. Linear effort produces comfort. Exponential thinking produces freedom, influence, and generational impact. Chapter 11 is the stage where ordinary ambition transforms into extraordinary legacy, where your systems, influence, and actions multiply in ways that can change your life and the lives of countless others. Chapter 12. Chapter 12 begins with a reality that few understand. Building wealth is only half the battle, preserving it is the other half. By now, you have mastered mindset, habits, scaling, investing, exponential growth, and influence. You have built systems, diversified income, and started creating legacy. But without protection, strategic management, and foresight, all of it can unravel. Wealth, like fire, must be contained, fueled wisely, and guided, otherwise, it consumes itself. The greatest danger is not lack of opportunity, but mismanagement of the success you've already earned. The first principle in preserving wealth is risk management. All assets carry risk. Markets fluctuate, industries change, businesses fail, and investments lose value. The wealthy do not avoid risk entirely. They calculate, hedge, and protect against catastrophic loss. Insurance, diversification, strategic cash reserves, and contingency planning are tools of preservation. Protecting your resources is not fear, it is intelligent stewardship. Every fortune is built with foresight, not recklessness. Next is tax and legal strategy. Most people lose a significant portion of their wealth due to ignorance of financial regulations, taxes, and legal structures. The wealthy proactively use legal frameworks, trusts, and strategic planning to preserve and multiply assets. Knowledge here is leverage. A well-structured portfolio retains more capital for reinvestment and growth. Understanding and planning for taxes and regulations multiplies the longevity of your wealth. Chapter 12 also emphasizes legacy structures. True wealth is measured not only by accumulation but by what lasts beyond your lifetime. Trusts, foundations, and family governance systems ensure that assets, influence, and opportunity are preserved for future generations. Without these structures, even enormous wealth can dissipate quickly. Wealth preservation is intentional. It requires planning, communication, and discipline. Your impact can outlive you if systems are built with foresight. Another lesson is emotional intelligence at scale. At this stage, relationships, partnerships, and influence can either protect or destroy your wealth. Wealth amplifies human behavior. Ego, envy, or greed can infiltrate decisions and operations. The wealthy maintain emotional discipline, communicate clearly, and build teams with aligned incentives and shared values. Emotional mastery ensures that internal and external forces reinforce your success rather than destabilize it. Control over people, processes, and self-mastery is a multiplier of enduring wealth. Chapter 12 also highlights continuous evaluation and adaptation. Even the most stable systems must be monitored and adjusted. Markets evolve, industries shift, and circumstances change. Wealth preservation requires regular review of investments, operations, and strategies. Stagnation invites loss. Adaptability sustains and compounds success. The wealthy treat their wealth like a living organism. It must be nurtured, optimized, and evolved. What grows today may fail tomorrow if left unchecked. Next is mentorship and knowledge transfer. Preserving wealth is not just about money, it is about mindset, habits, and culture. The wealthy teach their successors, embed principles in family or teams, and ensure that the behaviors and decisions that created wealth continue. Knowledge transfer multiplies success across generations, reinforcing both stability and growth. Wealth that educates multiplies itself. Chapter 12 also emphasizes strategic influence and alignment. Your reputation, alliances, and networks are assets. Maintaining trust, credibility, and strategic relationships safeguards opportunities and enhances growth. Influence becomes a protective mechanism. People want to align with those who create value consistently. Preserving influence requires integrity, communication, and deliberate action. Your network is both shield and amplifier for your wealth. Another critical principle is compound discipline. Preserving wealth is not a one-time act, it is daily practice. Systems, habits, and decisions must consistently reinforce growth, protection, and alignment. Discipline compounds like money. Consistent small actions prevent erosion and strengthen the foundation for future expansion. Without compound discipline, even great wealth decays over time. Finally, Chapter 12 underscores purpose-driven preservation. Wealth without meaning is fragile. Wealth aligned with values endures. Purpose guides investment choices, shapes influence, and ensures that decisions reinforce long-term goals rather than short-term gratification. Aligning wealth with purpose creates systems, behaviors, and decisions that are resilient to both internal and external challenges. Legacy is preserved when wealth serves something greater than itself. By the end of Chapter 12, the lesson is undeniable. Creating wealth is only half the journey. Safeguarding it, preserving it, and guiding it with strategy, purpose, and discipline ensures it lasts beyond you. Chapter 12 prepares you for the ultimate stage, taking everything you've built and using it to create freedom, impact, and a life that is truly exponential. Your empire is secure only when your systems, discipline, relationships, and purpose align. This is the bridge between wealth accumulation and lasting influence. Chapter 13. Chapter 13 begins with the ultimate truth of wealth. True richness is freedom. By now, you have built mindset, habits, financial systems, exponential growth, influence, and legacy structures. You have invested wisely, scaled intelligently, preserved your assets, and multiplied your impact. But all of these achievements are means, not ends. The pinnacle of wealth is the ability to live life on your own terms, guided by purpose, vision, and freedom. Wealth is not a number. It is the capacity to choose who you become, what you create, and the impact you leave behind. The first principle of mastery is freedom of time. Most people are enslaved to schedules, obligations, and short-term pressures. Wealth gives you the ability to reclaim your time, but only if you've built systems that sustain income and influence without constant intervention. Automation, delegation, scalable income, and strategic partnerships allow you to step away from day-to-day tasks while growth continues. Time is the ultimate currency. Once earned, it compounds into opportunity and experience. Next is freedom of choice. True wealth means decisions are no longer dictated by necessity, fear, or limitation. You can choose projects, relationships, and opportunities that align with your vision and values. You can prioritize growth, joy, learning, or impact without compromise. Wealth creates options, but mastery is knowing which options advance purpose rather than distract. The power to choose is the essence of freedom. Chapter 13 also emphasizes purpose-driven living. Without purpose, wealth becomes hollow. The truly wealthy channel their resources toward impact, education, innovation, community building, or creative ventures. Purpose guides daily actions, fuels perseverance, and magnifies influence. Every decision becomes strategic because it contributes to a broader vision. Purpose transforms wealth from static resources into a dynamic force for creation. When wealth serves vision, it multiplies meaningfully. Another principle is the power of influence at scale. Your influence, reputation, and networks are now exponential assets. Strategic communication, thought leadership, mentorship, and collaboration allow you to impact people, industries, and systems far beyond what you could alone. Influence amplifies every action, protects assets, and opens doors for growth that money alone cannot buy. Impact and wealth compound together when influence is intentional. Chapter 13 also explores freedom from fear. By mastering mindset, emotions, and internal barriers, you are no longer controlled by scarcity, doubt, or hesitation. Decisions become deliberate, calculated, and confident. Emotional resilience allows you to navigate volatility, setbacks, or criticism without losing momentum. Freedom from fear unlocks clarity, courage, and boldness, the traits that sustain exponential growth. Mastery of self creates mastery of life. Another critical lesson is the integration of legacy with lifestyle. True mastery balances living fully in the present while preparing for future generations. Legacy wealth is meaningful when it empowers others, perpetuates values, and creates systems that endure. The wealthy align their daily habits, investments, and influence with both immediate fulfillment and generational impact. You do not choose between enjoying life and building a legacy. They are mutually reinforcing. Chapter 13 also emphasizes continuous evolution. Mastery does not mean stagnation, it means deliberate growth across skills, mindset, wealth, and influence. The world evolves, opportunities shift, and challenges emerge. The truly wealthy remain students of life, learning, adapting, and expanding their reach. Complacency is the enemy. Perpetual growth is the secret to sustaining freedom. Mastery is not a destination, it is a lifelong practice. Another principle is responsible stewardship. Wealth carries responsibility to your family, community, partners, and self. Mastery is not selfish accumulation, it is thoughtful guidance of resources, influence, and systems. Decisions are evaluated for long-term impact, sustainability, and alignment with purpose. Responsible stewardship ensures wealth compounds without destruction, influence grows without corruption, and freedom lasts beyond personal gain. How you manage power determines the scale of your impact. Finally, Chapter 13 closes with a synthesis of all lessons. Every step, from mindset to habits, scaling, investment, internal mastery, legacy, and exponential thinking, culminates here. Wealth, freedom, influence, and purpose converge into a life of intentional creation. The truly rich understand that money, systems, and success are tools, not goals. Their lives are defined by vision, impact, and the ability to live fully while enabling others to thrive. Mastery is when wealth serves life, not life serving wealth. By the end of Chapter 13, the ultimate lesson is clear. True richness is not in what you earn, but in the freedom, purpose, influence, and legacy you create. The journey from scarcity to mastery transforms not only your finances, but your identity, impact, and ability to live without compromise. Wealth becomes a vehicle for choice, a multiplier of influence, and a platform for generational impact. This is the culmination. You have learned, acted, scaled, preserved, and multiplied. Now you live, freely and intentionally, in alignment with vision, purpose, and exponential impact.